Yo guys, what is up? Welcome back to the new video. I'm the Casual Racing Gamer, and in this video, we are talking about the Thrustmaster EVO Racing 32R leather-wrapped steering wheel and my first experience with the wheel. Thrustmaster sent me this wheel for free, just so you know, but I did not get paid to do any review on this, so this is my full honest opinion. Thrustmaster has no say in anything I say about these products that they sent me, and I am free to do what I want with them, say what I want with them. So just to let you know, as you guys know, I just want to say, you know, I have been a Thrustmaster fan since I started this channel, since I started sim racing. So that's obviously no surprise. You already know what I think about the TGT2. There's nothing here that I haven't said before about the TGT2 and Thrustmaster as a sim racing company. I've always enjoyed their products, and it's why I've actually stuck and I'm in there, and I'm actually in their ecosystem, and I hope to stay in their ecosystem. So I am really enjoying Thrustmaster products. Having said that, let's move on to talking about the wheel. Now, I've only been using my Thrustmaster TGT2 with this open wheel. This is what I purchased with the base. So this is the only actual rim that I've been using. So I am coming from that, just so you know, but Thrustmaster did send me a TGT2 with the actual GT7 wheel. So I will give my opinion on this wheel as well, because I did drive with it a little bit to compare it to the EVO Racing 32R to just see if you know, is one much better than the other and how I feel. Also against my open wheel that I've been using. So this review is based on something different than most other channels are probably going to be doing, because my review on this wheel is totally 100% based on how does it perform racing in PSVR2 and in VR racing, because that's the only way I race sim racing is in VR. So a wheel to me is much different than someone racing on a flat screen. I look for different things. Certain things are more important to me. Certain things are not important to me. For example, this EVO Racing wheel does come with LED lights up at the top here. So if you're racing on a flat screen, that's really cool. You can see the LED lights. You can see your rev limiter. For me, I don't see it. I'm in VR. It's not important. So while it's looking cool for other people outside of my headset, for me, LED lights, an LED screen or anything like that is not important if you're racing in VR, because you don't get to appreciate it, you don't get to see it. But for flat screen users, it's obviously cool, it's obviously can be very helpful. So I can understand why people might want things like that, but as a VR racer, not important to me. Let me just touch upon the shifters here are magnet shifters. It's the first time I've ever used magnet paddle shifters, so I wasn't sure how they actually would perform or what they actually even were. So basically what happens is you have magnets in the shifters here, and when you actually just flip it down, when you go to shift, the magnet actually pulls it back. At least for a very smooth transition when you actually shifting gears. It's also pretty quiet. There's no clicking, where this is more of like a spring mechanism type of thing, so you can actually hear the clicking in them. Much smoother, feels much better when you actually have magnetic paddle shifters. So that's definitely a big plus, a big bonus. I was happy to actually test that out, and it definitely feels good in hand. When I first started using the wheel, these shifters right here were very actually far away from the wheel, and they were actually very in. They didn't come out far enough towards the outside of the wheel, and they were very far distance from my hands. Now I have actually pretty long fingers, so I didn't think it would affect me, but as I was racing, I was like, wow, these shifters are really far apart. My son used the wheel, his hand started bothering him, but then lo and behold, I realized there's actually 2 screws in here, and you actually take the screws out, and there's actually spacers within the paddle shifters, which when you take the spacers out, they actually can come in closer. And on top of that, you have 2 different options here to make them actually go further out towards the outside of the wheel. So after adjusting it, it actually feels great. I actually think that should be the stock setup when they actually ship this wheel, as opposed to where they actually had it. I was very surprised, because they were very far away from my fingers and very inside to the wheel. I think this setup feels great when you actually adjust it. So it is pretty cool that you can adjust them. I was very happy to see that, and it felt much better in hand once I was able to adjust that. Now, we have a ton of buttons on this wheel, and I thought it was going to take me a long time to get used to what is what. Now, I did adjust within a day or so to the actual buttons that are important to me. I didn't think I was going to adjust really quick. Being in VR, obviously you can't see anything on the wheel, right? So you have to be able to just feel around. And I was actually able to feel around. Now, I can't just immediately like go to a button. I kind of sometimes have to just feel where I am in that actual square area and then go to the button. It does have this joystick on here. Now I would probably prefer a D-pad like my open wheel has. I like the feel of the D-pad when you're actually in VR and not being able to see. They have more of this little knob here. This is actually a directional pad, and it's easy if you push like around it, sometimes not as easy if your finger just goes on top of it. So that was a little adjusting to get used to, still getting used to it. I also believe that I saw in the manual that you can actually move these buttons up, or adjust them like the area up or down. I believe I saw that as well. So very customizable. The wheel itself, I talked about this in my unboxing video, that you can actually, they're gonna be able to remove the rim, and you can actually just take the main piece out, and they're gonna have different rims available, even open wheel, which is very cool. It feels good buying a wheel and knowing you still can upgrade different things within the wheel and give yourself a whole bunch of different rims, which is really nice. Now the wheel itself, leather wrapped, it feels really good in hand. It feels like a really solid wheel. The leather feels good. The size of the wheel is great. Like it feels like a real steering wheel that you would drive in a car, which I was afraid at first it was gonna feel too big coming from my open wheel, but it actually felt really good. And then when I actually jumped to this GT wheel, which was the first time I was using this wheel as well. This is the GT7 wheel that comes with the TGT2 if you buy the full set with the pedals. Now you don't have to buy, you can buy just the base without this and just order yourself a different wheel. But when I switched to this wheel, and I thought I was gonna just be able to know the button layout really well, but I actually, because I got used to the EVO wheel, the button layout wasn't so easy. So I wasn't used to that. It's really a matter of what you get used to. So the one thing I do like about this wheel, I do like the 4 button layout of the PlayStation buttons here. Like I wish every wheel would have the PlayStation layout with the 4 easy buttons like that, because those are the most important buttons to get to. So you always have to figure out what are those buttons on other wheels. But this wheel, when I switched to this GT7 wheel, it felt so much smaller, and I felt so much more constricted. And I thought I felt a little more, it felt a little tighter to the car, and I thought I was going to be able to drive a little better with it. But I actually found myself driving better with the bigger EVO wheel, which I wasn't sure what would actually drive better. The actual feeling of the leather on here, I'm not sure if it's the same leather, but in hand, in VR, like when I was just holding the wheel, the EVO wheel felt better in hand. The leather just felt like more quality. If it's the same leather, then it's a placebo effect. But to me, when I was driving it and I switched to the other one, the EVO wheel the leather just felt better in my hand. Now, if you guys use racing gloves or anything like that, that probably won't make a difference. So how do I feel about this wheel? This is going to obviously be my wheel of choice. This is going to be staying on my TGT2 right now. It definitely feels really good. Trying to just think of negatives about it, what you wouldn't like about it. I don't know. It feels like a great wheel to me. I don't really have anything I don't like about it. Obviously, I think I would have just liked to see a D-pad over the joystick that they used. I think it would have just been easier in VR. If you're not in VR, a lot of these things don't make as much of a difference. Also, going from an open wheel to a round wheel, I wasn't sure how it would feel different when racing like in a GT3 car with an open wheel and I'm using a round wheel. But the best thing in VR is when you're like looking in VR and you see an open wheel and your hands are on the wheel, you actually believe that you are racing with an open wheel. So it doesn't even matter if it's an open wheel or a round wheel. You actually think you're racing with what you're seeing in VR, because again, you can't see your wheel. So your mind just believes that that's what's in its hand, which is another great thing about VR, because you really can't tell the difference unless trying to turn and trying to find like the wheel, you might notice that difference. But otherwise, when you're just holding it and you're driving, it basically just, you don't know what you have. You don't know if you have an open wheel or a round wheel. So that definitely didn't change anything for me going from one to the other. But this is obviously a great wheel. If someone's looking for a new wheel, I definitely recommend it. I have no negatives about it. I do love the magnetic paddle shifters. Definitely, if you want to upgrade from your GT7 wheel, It definitely feels like an upgrade to me. It definitely felt better. It definitely felt bigger. It just felt more substantial in my hand. Again, this is just my opinion. Your opinion might differ from mine, which is totally fine. That's why we all have opinions. If I didn't like the wheel, I would tell you I just didn't like the wheel. But because it's going to be the wheel that stays on my sim rig for now, I obviously like it. So that is my opinion. If you guys enjoyed the video, thumb it up, subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one. We out of here. Peace.